Thanks, Madam Chair. Ms. Krass, as you and I discussed in my office last week, you know that I continue to have significant concerns with this administration's failure to develop a clear detention and interrogation policy. In my view, holding terrorists on a ship and interrogating them for a matter of days is no way to collect intelligence. It seems like we've gone back to the pre-9/11 days when we treat terrorists first and foremost like criminals. What legal and policy advice would you offer Director Brennan about the best way to obtain information from terrorists, including those that are captured and detained overseas?
Thank you for that question, Senator Chambliss. I would advise Director Brennan that the first goal of any interrogation of a suspected terrorist is to collect intelligence to protect this country's security. Wherever possible, that intelligence should be collected in a way that does not interfere with a future possible prosecution in either a military commission or an Article III court, only because that is one way to keep the terrorist off the streets and to keep them from harming the United States.
Well, every administration runs a little differently. It seems like this administration is exerting more control over the intelligence community and the Defense Department in an effort to avoid any risks that could have political or public perception consequences. I'm concerned that CIA operations are getting bogged down in lengthy review processes that don't really seem to serve any legal or reasonable policy purpose. What are your legal and policy views on how much an administration should try to exercise control over operations in order to minimize political risk?
I do not believe that political risk should be part of the calculation in determining the appropriate way forward for the interagency process. I do think, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, that interagency coordination can be a positive influence.
Ambassador Smith, as the committee meets with analysts across the intelligence community, we generally hear positive comments on the value of State Department overt political reporting. However, when it comes to reporting with embassies, it seems that much of the information is being conveyed by email rather than easily accessible cable traffic. What are your views on the role of the Bureau of Intelligence and Research reporting with respect to the rest of the intelligence community? What role should INR play in encouraging or assisting the broader State Department as an overt collector? And what specific analytic advantage or expertise does INR bring to the table for policymakers?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I would note that INR plays a critical role in terms of coordinating between the State Department and our missions overseas and the intelligence community with respect to reporting and analysis abroad. One of the things that we have as a senior Foreign Service officer who is detailed as Vice Chairman of the Human National Requirements Tasking Center in order to coordinate the needs of our human collectors, of our analysts, with our reporting overseas. Now, of course, the rest of the State Department, with the exception of INR, is not part of the intelligence community, so these are taken as advisory taskings. But there is close coordination via INR between the intelligence community and the State Department on our reporting overseas and our analysis overseas. I have heard the concerns you've expressed about the degree to which we're reporting in informal channels, email or others, and not in formal channels, and whether or not that would have an impact on the contribution of our reporters, analysts, political officers, economic officers abroad. I will certainly take into careful consideration if I'm confirmed and see if there are ways that we can ensure and encourage our reporting officers to report things front channel so they're shared widely within the intelligence community.
You've had extensive overseas experience during your very well-respected career. And as you know, unfortunately, some countries, such as Russia and Pakistan particularly, continue to engage in abusive and harassing behavior towards Americans posted there, violating all diplomatic norms and protocols. Yet the committee has struggled to find anyone in Washington who's really willing to take ownership of this problem. What role can INR play in organizing a whole-of-government approach to ensure equitable treatment for American diplomats posted overseas?
Well, Senator, it's certainly something that I personally take to heart, having served overseas and having seen some of the challenges that we face overseas. This is of great concern to the Department of State and to Secretary Kerry and to the leadership of the Department. We take very seriously not only the security and safety of our personnel, but their treatment by these host governments and by these countries. There is, in fact, a very established procedure by which not only will we raise concerns about mistreatment and allegations about mistreatment aimed at our personnel overseas, but we will also take actions as necessary to signal to these governments that there will be consequences in terms of their diplomatic representation in the United States if we don't receive equal and fair treatment abroad. So this is something the Department of State takes very seriously. It is of concern to senior officials and to the Department as a whole.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.